All right. Hey guys, how's it going? Um, so Michelle and I we're gonna be live very soon. I'm live, I'm just waiting for her. I have been struggling, you could say, with technology. So, Michelle, let me know if you can hear or see me. I did send you an invite, so let me know. Okay. Yeah, I'm just waiting. Just waiting to connect with Michelle, you guys. Yeah, while I wait, how are you guys doing? And oh, hi, Michelle, you're here. Can you hear me? Hey, Michelle. Can you? Hey, I think we did it. I think so. Oh, wow. What has technology come to these days, you know? I'm trying to move my laptop, my phone a bit further away from me because last time the video was so close.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. I think that's good. It just, I might have to hunch and reach over to read the comments that you guys may have to share with us because I'm using my phone. How are you, Michelle?
Mm, I'm really good. Thank
Is
you.
that coffee or water?
Water. No, I hit my
Okay.
coffee quota for today.
Yeah, so Michelle, welcome. Happy New Year. How was your holiday and the New Year's? How is it going?
Mm, it's really good. I just kind of see it as a regular day.
Mhm.
And it was really nice. It took 5 days off, and that was really nice to do. Just spend time with my daughter.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Mm,
What's your favorite part about Christmas?
mm,
It's not.
mm. Let's see. My favorite part about Christmas is well, this year we actually got to stay home, and I had my brother and my sister join us, so that was really nice to do. And I don't know, I think it's like a time where I don't know, forgiveness is like a big theme for me. So I feel like Christmas really embodies that theme for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. So we'll start by introducing ourselves. Maybe we do have some new members in the group. My name is Bernadette Desir. I am the founder and host of the Unleashing Potentials podcast. And who are you, Michelle?
I am Michel O'Hare. I am from Black Mountain, North Carolina, and I am a certified body talk practitioner and an IFS practitioner. And I'm here with Bernadette.
You know what? It's so cold here today. Do you guys have snow where you are?
I can't even talk about cold anymore because of you, so it's chilly.
Yeah, yeah, it's brutal. It's bad. Yeah. Um, yeah, Happy New Year. So, what are some reflections that you could share with us, that happened last year?
Last year, reflections. um, Last year, 2023. Um, I did a lot of traveling in 2023. I have a kid that's in inpatient facility in Pennsylvania. So every other month, I would travel to Pennsylvania on my own to take him out of the facility and spend a few days with him and give him some mama time. So I did that a lot. I got to go on a big girl trip. It was my first like business trip, and I went to Canada for the first time. And I got to be with my colleague, like another Body Talk colleague, and we did sessions on each other and just got to nerd out. And I actually stayed with one of my clients, and I got to fellowship with other of my Canadian clients, and that was just a really beautiful opportunity. Um, I did a lot of healing in 2023 under the whole theme of forgiveness that I was mentioning. So yeah, it was pretty great and arduous year.
Wow, that's awesome. I'm all for healing. That's really cool. I can't wait, to see what 2024 has for all of us, because I think each year that goes by, all of us grow. We
Mm.
grow, learn, we heal, and we teach and we help others. Yeah, that's exciting. So I'm going to give you guys a quick, brief recap on what we're doing. So last year, it sounds like it's been months when I say last year. Only January. So November, December last year, it was put on my heart to talk about grief and grieving. And it's a marathon that I'm doing. I don't know how long it will take to do, and I'm not keeping tab on time. And my
Mm.
hope is to invite as many people that are willing to come forward to share their stories of grief and many struggles that all of us go through, whether it's public or private. So I've done two separate lives with Janet, and this is my third with you, Michelle. And today we're gonna focus on you, and we're gonna also talk about grief, loss, and schizophrenia. And I'm going to start by asking you this. Can you tell us your journey with grief?
Mm. Um, so I put together I put together a list, and I kind of wanted to give some like examples of what grief has looked like in my life.
Yes.
So the way that so lost childhood. Um, I took care of five siblings, and let's see, so loss of innocence with sexual abuse, and I lost my mom to my stepdad, and I lost my grandfather. He had died, and before that, I lost my connection to like my grandparents and my relatives, because when they started to find out about the sexual abuse, there was more of a seclusion that was made in our family to kind of keep that from interfering and, the crazy trick show that was going on in our lives. And I lost my teenage years. I got pregnant, and I really didn't get to be a teenager. I didn't get to really be a child. Loss of virginity. I was raped, and I lost my diary. It's like all these little things that we don't think about. My husband at the time tore it up, and the loss of my career in the Army. I mean, that was a really big one. Um, and the first time I lost my son was through drug addiction. So I lost him one time, the first time. And then there was like a loss of home. I was homeless for a long time. And there was loss of 7 cars. And when you're a drug addict, other drug addicts love to steal your car, apparently. And I lost all the novels I wrote. I had like 7 handwritten novels that I had written when I was very young, and those got stolen. I had a loss of faith, a loss of health when I was going through multiple sclerosis. I lost both my parents. I lost my son to suicide. And what's amazing is that when certain losses happen, it triggers every single one of those other losses that ever happened.
Mhm.
And so it feels like that one loss is like just catastrophic, but it's like triggering every single loss that you've ever had that you've just kind of compartmentalized and pushed away. And then I lost, at the same time, another child to schizophrenia, being in and out of inpatient facilities. Um, it was just like and also like losing motherhood, because I had to learn how to be a mother in a different way to this child than what comes naturally when you're around them every day. I had a loss of purpose. I lost my way. I had a loss of courage and hope. And I also like lost my child that's in patient facilities that people don't talk about. She was born a girl, but then decided that she was going to be transgender and a male. So it was like the loss of my daughter. Um, so that's it.
Oh,
That's a short version.
where can we start? Oh my goodness. You have overcome, my friend. You have healed. You have grown so much. You have done the work, and I'm just honored to be sharing this platform with you among many others that are watching and those who have heard your story. And that's the power of us sharing our pain and trauma with others, is
Yeah,
that we're not alone in them.
no,
We may experience the exact same loss, but we feel it differently. And
yeah.
that's the beauty of rawness. And I love it. Thank you so much for sharing all the different losses and things you had to go through. And I love the woman that I'm seeing right now. And I would still love you if I saw you other places, the car, the street. And I'm just speechless. It's very hard for me to be speechless. That's what I am right now. So thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, you're welcome. Yeah, yeah. So as you were talking, I was taking notes to see which sections that we should focus on and kind of break it down. Let's talk about loss of childhood trauma and sexual abuse. It happened to me too. So me too. And there are lots of others that are watching or listening or will be watching this that will say me too. Um, as a parent, I can only imagine how can communities, governments, and family members support people like us who've been through so much trauma? And most importantly, kids, because there are kids that are just getting out of those situations.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
You know, I feel like we would have to gut the whole system in order to be because I mean, when I was a kid, I remember when I would reach out to people and I would have that courage to reach out, and it would be like a school counselor. Um, we were in the military, so it was CID, Criminal Investigations Department. And I would go to these people, or if it was a social worker, and they would come to the house and they would leave you after you make your statement, they leave you in the house with the family. And when you're going to go and do a signed statement the next day, what do you think's going to happen? You know, my mom would be like, you're going to put us on the streets. You don't want that to happen to your brothers and sisters, you know, like this whole manipulation thing, you know, to keep her situation safe, you know, to get me to quiet and shut my mouth. And it happened like that every single time because, of course, I didn't want to hurt my family. No, not at all. So I would take it back every single time. So they would have to change the way that they do things, and they haven't done it yet because my stepdaughter, her mother was abusing her, and we had made a report. And when the people came, you know, to see her to interview the mother, they gave her like 4 or 5 hours ahead of time before they came over, so she had time to clean the house, get herself together, and look like a prim and proper person. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know how um, they can
Yeah,
support them properly.
yeah, yeah. And it's okay not to know, because in the unknown we can rest and somehow find peace and know that one day it will be okay. And I was in the foster care system,
Okay.
and I won't go into details because it's not mine to share, but it happened there. And then in orphanages in Haiti, it's just it's like all of us are walking around those massive elephants we keep bumping into, and we
Mhm.
pretend that they're not.
Right.
And through that type of ignorance, it's damaging people uh, to the point that it's so hard to comprehend all of it. And it's like a computer. Over time, if we put too much on there, it's like a crash, like the body crash, the spirit
Yeah.
crash, the soul crash, and we lose our way and our identity, if I may put it that way. And yeah, my hope is that governments, leaders, whoever's making the decisions up there, down there, that they can humble themselves to listen to us, to
Yeah.
listen to survivors, to listen to our stories, and to also listen to what needs to be changed in the system.
Yeah.
Because we are part of the system and we deserve to have a say, a voice, and we deserve to make changes that will benefit the next generation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. We share that too. I was in foster care as well.
It's brutal. Like, oh my gosh, like you said, taking the time just to clean and make sure everything looks perfect,
Yeah.
and then when they leave, yeah,
Yep. Back to the basics. Right where you
yeah,
left off.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, and I hope that governments they can go through those steps to prevent damages to to actual real people that are going through those emotions and kids. And when sometimes when kids share their stories, when they say this happened, this person touched me there, and they're not always believed.
That's true.
And that, in my opinion, it can build resentment.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of belief systems too. Because I remember the first time I had reached out and in my neighborhood, they were like, Charles, he would never do that, you know? And so I remember building this little part inside of me that felt like no one would ever listen and no one would ever hear me. So why speak up? So it took me a while to locate that and to heal that so that I can speak up. And I know that I'm speaking and whoever listens, listens, and that doesn't have anything to do with my worth. But for a while, it sure did.
Oh, I believe you, my friend. I do. I do. And sometimes it's hard to see what other people see.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be there, and their perception and actually walk their life in order to really see what that person sees.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Now let's touch a little bit on death and grief.
Mm,
Give me your take on it, and I'll give you mine.
okay. So I wrote out and I read it. I was like, is this still, because we were going to do this live. I think it was like last month, right?
Yeah.
But I wrote kind of like what the whole grief sort of thing is for me, but it's more in like a poetic. I write in poetry, so.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so what is grief? An invisible, dark, weighted cloud that weaves itself into everything. Breathing is weighted, walking. Find yourself driving and not knowing how you ended up where you are. It's many faces screaming, stretching in all directions within your mind. Broken. Things we put an unconscious price tag on are no more. Gone. We grow this tangible comfort in the faces of those that we in the faces sorry in the faces of those that are a constant in our lives. Our children are something different. It's a relationship that begins when we first find out we are pregnant. Mother is a role that every other role forms around. It's so imprinted into our being. When a child dies, grief is akin to a ripping at the very fibers of our being and leaving you broken. Because who you are, so who are you if you are no longer a mother or a father? But grief has a flip side. Everything does. The very thing that seemingly burned down the house has the same power to make you brand new.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. And in every word, I could feel the weight of your love, of your pain, and of your release of the suffering that you've been through.
Mm.
Did you ever thought of writing a book to put all your poetries together?
I'm I'm working on it, and I'm also working on a book that's been very difficult to write, but it's called Memoirs of a Meth Addict. So I've been writing about that journey as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's so powerful. I love that. Um, let's talk about, you losing your son. It's hard. You go as far as you want when it comes to that topic, because I don't want to open wounds for you, but know that your story is a guide for someone. Maybe they're listening. Maybe
Yeah.
they'll stumble upon this in a year or so.
Mm.
You go ahead and share as little as you want or as much as you want when it comes to that.
Well, I just want to say when you say you don't want to open wounds, and I honestly see that the opening of those things is an opportunity. So, I mean, I can't heal from it unless it comes out in some sort of way. So,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Mhm.
mm. So when it's interesting. Like I was sitting on the couch and you're just kind of going about your everyday life, you know? And I picked up my phone and I read a message from Facebook Messenger telling me that Skylar hung himself. And it's just like everything like hung in the balance for like a moment. It was like that hush before the storm. Whew,
Mhm.
that was and then there was like this explosion. It was like this shock. And I remember like retracting myself like in a ball and just started screaming like no. Wow, yeah.
Mm,
And the thing is I knew it was true. There was like never like a denial. Like I knew it happened and that he was gone, but I was like in just utter like turmoil about the whole thing. And
yeah.
go ahead.
No, no, I'm listening. I'm agreeing with you. I'm
Okay.
listening.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so I kind of thought about like this my stages, you know, of grief. I feel like everyone has their own. And so there was the shock, and that was like really when my brain chemistry just got fried. It was just like, you know. And then there was like this despair, this just like apathy. And um I remember getting really stuck on I thought I had more time. And I mean,
Mm,
that was like the hardest part for me was I thought I had more time because, you know, I journeyed with this little soul, you know, until he was like 3. And then I couldn't be with him anymore while I went through my whole drug addict thing. And then it was like, even after I was clean, you can't be with him. You can't be with him no matter what I tried because in Mississippi, my in-laws, my ex-in-laws, knew the court system and all those kinds of people, so they used that to their advantage, and that was just part of the design of things. And so, because I always thought, hey, if I get clean, I'm gonna be Skylar's mom again. I'm gonna get to be his mom. You know, it's like that drove me. You know, that honestly really got me through those drug years was I'm gonna one day be his mom again. And it was funny. I found him on Facebook like when he was about 14 and I saw his face and I was just like,
mm,
that's him. And I haven't seen him, you know, no pictures. No one would give me pictures. And I remember seeing him and like my whole world just went,
mm,
and I, you know, and then I finally meet him because he was angry at me. He didn't want to meet me at that time. And um it was like it was a cute little journey. I ended up friending him on like Instagram and not telling him who I was, and we shared poetry and it was really beautiful. And I finally told him who I was, and he's like, "Don't talk to me," you know, blocked me. He's doing his teenage thing, you know. And eventually he got with my brothers and sisters, and they lived in Georgia, and he planned to go see them and invited me at last minute to come meet him. and he was 18, and he was very sick with schizophrenia. Very, you could yeah, I was like, oh my, you know. So that's how I met my son. And I think the hardest part about it was he had asked me to live with him, and I mean, for him to live with me. And, you know, I had always wanted to hear those words, like forever, you know, I wanted, you know, and it was not possible. I had these three girls. One of them was my stepdaughter, and he was sexually active, and he was just not right up there. And he yeah, I couldn't put them in danger, and so that was the hardest thing. I had to tell him no. And he told me, he said, if you don't let me come live with you, I'm going to kill myself. And I didn't believe it, you know. And one day he did. It was 6 months, like from the date, 6 months from the moment that I met him, that he killed himself. And it was just like, you think you have more time. I was just 6 months. I thought we had more time to kind of get through our, you know, rough patches and, you know, that sort of thing. And we're promised nothing,
Mhm.
you know? So
Wow.
after, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
And yeah, Sheila comment, she said, in tears listening to your story. In tears listening to you. I'm so sorry, she said. Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah,
Kayla.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like after the despair, it was like the rage came, the blaming God. It was like, this is like a sick joke. You know, the whole dynamic. It was like, this is a fucking sick joke. Fuck you, you know, just, yeah. Yeah, I went through that just anger at God, you know, for a while. And then the blaming myself, you know, like saying no to him, him blaming me, you know, for what he would do, you know, eventually. And and then something and then something happened from there. I started praying for him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I started praying for myself. And then I started reaching out for help.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I started facing my shadow
Hmm.
and repeated those steps in different orders, you know. I got
Uh,
to a point to where it was my bottom. And I really feel that that's when we really heal, is we have to find our bottom, whatever that is for everybody. And the bottom is, I'll do whatever I have to. Tell me what I have to do to be free of this, and I will do it. And that's where I got to.
wow. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
And yeah, thank you. And I'm so sorry you had to go through that, all of that. It's so hard when we lose anybody, but especially a child
Mhm.
that we carried, we loved. And our stories are kind of similar. I did not lose a child physically, but I lost my daughter for a bit when I was very sick of schizophrenia, going through the its of it and
Yeah.
being hospitalized. And of course, the court system used
Yeah.
against me for her to get taken away from me.
Mm.
And yeah, I didn't see her for years. Years.
Oh. Mm.
All right. So that made my schizophrenia
Of
worse. I
course.
was on suicide watch. Many times the police would knock at my door, and I had no choice but to go to the hospital. They were checking if I was dead, if I was alive. They just
Okay.
randomly check. And the pain that you feel, it's heavy, it's
Yeah.
hard,
Yeah.
and not everyone can understand it.
No.
And you've done the work, and I know how hard it is to open those wounds. Like you said, it's good to open them, to see what's in there, to reflect, to pull them out, and to heal from them and to move on from them. Which takes me to this topic, um, schizophrenia. All right. And I'm schizophrenic. I am no
Yeah.
longer ashamed of letting people know, because for so long people did mock, made fun of me,
Yeah.
called me crazy,
Mm.
and even went to the point of saying you should kill yourself. You're no use. You're a piece of this and that.
Mm.
So that's when I'm like, what's the point?
Right.
And I've attempted a few times to the point that I was in a cardiac unit. Most people don't know all of those details about me, and that's
Here they
right,
are.
right. And I was tormented not only by my mind, but by others, physical
Yeah.
people that were doing those things to me. The police wouldn't do much about it. The court doesn't do much about it. So I'm just grateful to be alive. And schizophrenia is such a word that is misunderstood.
Yeah.
In the spiritual aspect, I would say that I was tapping into what wasn't in this earth.
Right.
And I knew what was my thoughts, what wasn't. And I knew something was wrong. I was agitated of it.
Mhm.
But what would you say to those people who did what they did to me, who continue to get away with it and doing it to other people with mental health issues?
Mm. I would say that you need to pretend that you have a domineering voice or voices that are not yours.
Mm-hmm.
And they are telling you either terrible things about yourself or telling you terrible things that other people are saying that may not be true. And that take your reality and just twist it and turn it to where it doesn't even look real or safe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have a voice that tells you you should kill yourself or you should kill other people. Or it can invite you into a realm of absolute delusion. They call that psychosis. And you're living in an altered reality that has absolutely nothing to do with what's going on right here and right now. And after you go through that, then you can talk about schizophrenia.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Beautifully said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I always tell them, those people who did that, you have no idea.
No.
The stuff you watch in the movies, it doesn't even add up to
Mm-mm.
what most schizophrenics goes to. And,
No.
and it was one of the hardest, horrific time of my existence. And
Yeah.
it was painful.
Yeah.
I still don't have words because I don't. and and obviously I've healed slowly from it. But at the end of the day, that's why I'm advocating. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I
Yeah.
don't need people's money to share my story, and I don't need people's money to give people a platform. I've owned my story. We all have owned our stories, and we deserve to share them. And when it comes to mental health, what would you say to the media, government, or just regular idiots? It's true. People still ignore some people.
Oh, that's so huge though. But before that, I just want to say thank you for sharing that. Thank you for still being here.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because your existence is a gift. So I'm glad you're still here.
me too. I don't know how I survived, but I'm here.
Me either.
Yeah, here. Yeah.
Oh, what would I say? Goodness, about mental health.
Mhm.
open your minds. I mean, um, we're not really treating anybody. I mean, if you look at the different, I mean, I have a lot of therapist friends, and they're just looking to get as many people in every day. It's not about quality, it's about quantity, and it's about numbers. And that's not helping anybody. When you
Yeah.
have things that are like schizophrenia, you know, people that are in more of in an intellectual sort of way of being and thinking and modes of travel, it's like they can't go there. But if they look in other countries like Brazil and etc., you know, they treat the dark energies that are actually, you know, taking root in these people, and they are having really good results because only certain antipsychotics can block that neural pathway in order to stop those voices from getting through to, you know, the person. And then what if it like stops, Abilify stops working? All of a sudden you got that shit coming right through to your antenna station, you know? and and so it's like open, you know, open up to actually treating what's going on and stop putting people in a box. It's really nice to have like a diagnosis at first, but it's really just a bunch of symptoms that we're putting into with like one label. But that should not be a label that boxes somebody in, and we should treat the symptoms and not judge somebody, you know, because the like BPD gets a really bad rap, and I understand why. It's you know, it can be a hard one, but it's like, you know, people don't want to work with people if they have that diagnosis and stuff because all of these things have gotten such bad muju.
Yep.
Um, I mean, they really, honestly, I feel like there should be more training because we get a bunch of people that come in at first that are really fired off to help people in that realm, and then they get burnt out, and it's because they're not teaching them how to um, empathy is not going to heal people, it's going to burn you out, and people don't understand that. So if you can be with your parts that are very empathetic and want and feel like we have to be in the mud with that person in order to be impactful. I understand that through programming and stuff we've been taught that, but it's really compassion that can really sit and be with the person, and you don't have to be in the mud because they can feel that openness and that heart, and they feel more supported like that, and then you get to be a therapist and you know, have your light for a lot longer. So
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Um, yeah, I've tried lots of different medications and I had to be hospitalized to try them. I felt like a lab rat, you know, got tested
yes.
on. And at one point, one doctor took me completely off my fucking medications. Sorry. And it
Ooh,
was so bad, so bad. They thought because I was in a hospital that I was okay, but it felt like I was dead and alive at the same time. My brain, my mind, I just was not here.
yeah,
I'm still not here, but I'm doing better. I'm connecting. It was bad. And I've been leaning, you know, towards more holistic approaches because the pills are not necessarily working. I'm not against them. I'm taking them. But it's a search that I had to continue to do for myself.
yeah,
And I think healthcare professionals are doing the best that they can.
absolutely.
And they also buy a book, you know, certain things they learn in school. And
Yeah,
if they go past that, then they may get in trouble or malpractice. I don't know. Uh,
yes, yes.
yeah, yeah, just different ways and methods of approaching the topic. And it the schizophrenia, yeah, it does get a bad rap because Hollywood makes it that way, and the media makes it that way. It's
Yeah.
and people have left me, friends have left me because they know what I'm diagnosed with,
Mm,
relationship, like romantic relationships. And I'm always upfront. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm schizophrenic. I'm not crazy. I haven't murdered anybody. I don't plan on it. Are you gonna stay or go? Because this is who
Yeah,
I am. This what like it does not make me who I am. It is something I have to live and manage. And I
right.
always tell people now, very open about it. And I know there are lots of schizophrenics and people with mental health diagnosis
Yeah,
that are suffering in silence. And my
yeah,
hope for existing, I think, is to bring light into those topics and just to help people. Because
absolutely.
in reality, if I may put it that way, all of us are a little cuckoo up there. All right? All of us. It could
Yes,
be we feel how we react to triggers. Like all of us have our own stuff to deal with. And I think we should continue to elevate each other and help instead of
yeah,
judging and criticizing.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah, you
beautiful
ready for the next
mission.
part? Thank you. Let's talk about faith because from
Oh,
your experience, I've dealt with the same. I have cast the skies purple. Right, right. I've gone through that, and it is human. I've realized it's human, it's natural, and it's okay. And it's a process of releasing, letting go, and healing. Tell me your
absolutely.
experience with faith, and how did you regain that faith that you lost?
So I had some Jesus trauma growing up. So
Yeah.
when I was young, when my stepdad, my life was crazy. But when my mom and my stepdad would have one of those born again moments, we'd go back to church, and I was the bad dark seed. So they would take like my rock magazines and my stuff and give it to the pastor, and he'd put in a big old black garbage bag and burn that shit, you know? And so that was and I mean, and I also like from my second marriage, like they were really Christian and stuff, and they were so judgmental, and so I kept like associating Christian and Jesus. You know, you can't help it. I mean, it's just normal with the way that I've seen Christians act and different people like conduct themselves, and I'm like, I don't want nothing to do with that screwy shit.
Yeah.
So I and so I had to get through that and realize that that had nothing to do with Christ.
Mm,
These are just people that made up a religion around this beautiful, beautiful example. Just like all the other greats, you know, people make the religions and stuff like that, not, you know, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna. Um, so when I worked through that, it just kind of I don't know, I had to stop relating to whoever it is from what my mom told me or other people told me I had to do it, how I needed to pray and stuff. And I started just exploring that myself, what works for me. So I'd just be like, hello, hi. God, you know. And you know,
yeah.
and so at first it feels like a little you know, unnatural, you know, and weird, and you just kind of go through that, and it just kind of started happening because of my intention and because of the
Hmm.
things that I've seen in my life as well. I mean, I almost was killed multiple times, and something like divine grace is like undeniable of what happened and saved me um, so many times. And so I was able to kind of touch back into that and
Mm.
really
Wow.
feel that I have had a presence with me through this whole life. And
Mhm.
I only need to ask, and it's there.
Mhm.
It's just this matter of asking for that help. That's really, really important. And so I started
Mm.
doing that. I started speaking to my angels and asking them for help. And And the more that you speak to them, the more that they can reveal themselves to you, I found. I mean, and I'm like, whoa, I have a guy angel, and he is beautiful. Um, and so it kind of just have happened very slow and gradually, but um, I've landed in this place because we read like the Psalms and stuff like that, like 91st Psalm, and a lot of people can't connect to that, and I get it. Because they're like, well, I have all this shit going on with me and stuff. Where's God and stuff? Well, what they don't understand is when you fully trust is when that becomes a reality. And it took me a while because I used to think that too. I was like, okay, where is my help? Where is this? And now I know that when I fully trust that I'm going to walk through this stuff, there's certain things that I do need to do in this life, and that I'm fully supported and God has it all taken care of at the end. And
Yeah.
and I know that to be true now.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Wow. We have more in common than you think.
Oh, I knew
uh,
that you and I are soul sisters, so I mean,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. We connected on so many levels, especially, through the interview. And I'm like, I think I know her. I don't know if it's a different lifetime. Believe it or not, I've so far run into, well, one person that I met in a different lifetime.
Mm.
And it's fascinating. And just like you, it's very similar. I grew up with different religions, religion soup, I call it. Mom believed that. Mom believed that. Dad believed that. Auntie believed that. So I grew up around a few.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I had to ask for proof. And I
Okay.
grew up reading the verses and all of it. And when I hit my rock bottom, I said, God, show me who you are. I don't want to hear it from someone else to tell me who you are.
Yeah.
And he does wear very interesting sandals, just like you see in the pictures. And he was in the white robe. He's real. So I have seen, I have heard, and I know. And that was my proof. And there's a verse in the Bible, I don't remember exactly where, to come at the feet of Jesus. And when I had my vision, I saw his feet, and I couldn't look up. It was too bright for me. But I find at his feet, that's where I found peace and rest. Because obviously, I think most of us have dealt with low self-esteem, self-worth, and I've dealt, and I'm still going through, and I felt like nothing, nobody, no one.
Yeah.
And he stepped up and say, you are someone, you have a mission. And it's a good one. It's a good mission. Yeah, and we talked about past lives and all of that.
Yes.
I still can't understand why I would choose this. Yeah.
Yeah. I um I was kind of going through that myself lately, and I feel like
Hmm.
when you sign up as a healer, and I feel like it's like pre everything, but that's like a certain curriculum. And
Yeah.
because what I've noticed that's the most impactful, whether it's for myself or for someone else, is when you can have someone that's been there and has done that and can check those boxes. And because there's no judgment, it's like I freely share with my clients or anyone my shame, my most
Yeah.
shameful moments, because their shame parts are coming up and they're feeling, exposed and stuff. And I say, I have all these great stories. I say, hey, is it okay for me to share with you my shame? And they're like, yeah, that would be great. And then it's like when you share that, hey, I was on my hands and knees in this like shag rug trying to find like just a crumb of meth. It was, I've been in the bathroom where I sitting there trying to find a vein. It was, these are shameful moments I had to carry around. And they're just like, you see me. And it's like, that's worth it.
Yes, yes, yes. And that's why I think it's important to be authentic, because
Yeah.
we live in a culture, society where we put on a mask, and most of the time it is not conscious. It's not our fault.
No.
We got programmed that way through culture, through school, and through all the different things we wouldn't think of that can program us.
Seeking
And
love.
yeah,
It's like when you're little, you are making a rule book. And so if you're just yourself and all of a sudden mommy yells at you and tells you to shut the fuck up and stuff like that, you're like, okay, being like that is a no. Let's cross that out. Let's write the new plan, of how to get love and receive that. And so that's when we have the personality modification that happens in our consciousness. And it just kind of trickles down from there with those different masks you were talking about.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And how can people take off their mask? It's painful, but I'm sure there's a process to start. Mine's completely off. I honestly don't give a hoot to any hoot. I don't care. I just don't care. Maybe the meds numb me a little bit, which is fantastic. I just don't care. Don't. I'm trying to find a shred of care even in the snow outside. I can't. So what
Okay.
are your thoughts?
I love you, Bernadette. Um, let's see. I'd say get body talk. I mean, 'cause that's where I started learning, but it's just like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like the masks are um, different ways that we've learned how to navigate the world in order to find the basic safety procedures, which is survival.
Mhm.
So it's like finding those themes and looking at why we do certain things. So for example, if you're somebody who is overachiever,
Mhm.
it's hard to know that about yourself because that is like one of your like main, we call it in IFS, managers. It's like your lead manager. It's like that's who I am. It's kind of stuck this on my face sort of thing. But with help, you're able to start to see, oh, this actually isn't me. This is just some sort of mask that I put on um, for different occasions, different people, and stuff like that. And so when there's more space from it, you can start to have more of a compassion for why it began, why it started, and and if it needs to be unburdened as well. But I mean, all of those different masks that we put on are covering up those childhood wounds, the inner child. So even like with body talk, it brings up like the different memories that are still active, that are kind of like moving us behind the scenes and such, and the different themes of consciousness as well. I mean, just for example, there's like um, what is it? Uh, the lungs, being able to take life in more fully. There's the past, there's depression, there's letting go. I mean, if you just think about like letting go and surrender, what that does to someone's body, because that goes against the whole basis of control, or should I say, quote unquote, control that we have. That'll mess you up right there. So you get to learn how to have more of less attachment to these different belief systems and stuff like that, which helps us actually to heal, because mainly it's the beliefs that we've been programmed with in our life, and our attachments that really bring the suffering to us. Because
Yeah.
every time anything comes against your basic beliefs, you have that same amount of resistance that is met with that. And that resistance, depending on how strong it is how we see our bodies, going into these different physical symptoms and such, because it's held on so strongly, and we're always getting like a counterforce to it on a daily basis. And it's almost like fireworks going off inside our bodies. And eventually, it's going through all those energy bodies. So it's starting at consciousness, making its way down to vital body, mental body, and then eventually, biochemical, and then it hits our physical. So
Yeah, yeah. Are those some of the processes that you use doing body talk?
yeah, it's just anything can come up in it. It's like a priority, based sort of modality. So a lot of times people will go in and say, I want to work on this. Well, we'll see what you actually need to work on. We'll get to that eventually, but sometimes there's like other things that need to be healed and shifted and our perspectives changed on before we can hit said blank, whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always use this analogy. You know roses, right? They come in all shapes, colors,
Yes.
but you can get pricked by the spiky thing. What are they called?
Thorn.
You know? Okay. That's me. When it comes to triggers, I used to have so many triggers.
Yeah.
Uh, I have, well, I'm diagnosed. I don't have it. I'm diagnosed with PTSD, right? Which takes me instantly anywhere with flashbacks. And if someone hasn't experienced that, I hope you never do.
I
The
was,
smell, all of it.
yeah, totally. No,
Yeah,
I have 100% disability from the Army for complex PTSD. So I understand,
yeah, yeah.
but I don't have it anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna be saying one day. I don't
Yes, you
have
will.
Yeah, yeah. And I've done a crop ton of karmic work.
Mm-hmm.
Those are painful, guys. Like some of the stuff I saw, it's just out of this world.
Yeah.
Out of this world. Yeah. So,
Literally.
Michelle, yeah, go ahead.
I said literally.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. It is. Yeah. It's insane. Yeah. So we talked about me doing a past life regression for you.
Right.
I told a friend that my guides are sure pushing the line because I know I'm supposed to do something like that. I'm a light worker, so are you and many
Yeah.
others. It's just fear holds me back. And for you to ask me that, that's an open door. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
so excited to do that.
I'm
I
really
don't know
excited.
how it's gonna go. She has faith in me, you guys, and I'm
I do.
excited. Yes, thank you for seeing something special in me, because sometimes it's hard for us to see the magnificent gifts that all of us have.
Well, I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis. When someone is in front of me, I see their potential and I see them healed and whole and complete. And so I'm reflecting that back. I'm reflecting their beauty back to them so that they can see that.
Yeah, yeah. So, Michelle, I know you wanted to also talk about transformative impact.
Transformative impact.
Yeah, like how grief, trauma, and
Oh,
loss has transformed.
what time is it?
Time for me to eat and drink what? No, it is 12:12 my time.
Okay.
So I know we do need to wrap up. This is how good these conversations get,
Yes.
you guys. That's how good they get. The time just fly by. So, how long do we have? Because I know you have a busy schedule as well.
Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that as a separate thing if you think that would be good.
I'm in for anything.
Okay.
Sink or swim. I just jump in. I don't even put my toes in, so I'm ready.
So do I. So
Yeah,
do I. That's been
yeah.
the mode of travel for me. I just jump in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. What would you like to leave us with today as we wrap up?
Mm. I know sometimes, depending on which like level or layer you're at with your healing, that when you listen to someone who has perhaps gotten to a place where you're not, that sometimes when you hear different things, it can be a little triggering because, you know, you're not there in that reality. I've I've heard a lot of things before I was ready to utilize them. But what I would do is instead of just like throwing them out or just going, oh, fuck that shit, you know, I put it in my tool bag, you know, for later. I was like, okay, this is kind of triggering. This sounds really weird, but I'm all right, I'm going to just kind of put this in this little bag and we'll come back to that later. Just kind of toss the tool bag across the room. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes we hear things because we need to hear them. And then later, like at first, it's going to be like a foreign language. And then later, it'll be like, oh, like if someone would have told me any of this like years
Mhm.
ago, I would have been like, oh, shut up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
You
process,
have
you
done
know?
lots of healing. Yeah, it is. It is a process. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for your
Bernadette.
presence. You're welcome. Thank you to those who have been watching and listening. I'm coming live to you from freezing Canada. Good day. It's
Bye.
cold. Cold. Okay, we'll chat soon.
Bye, Bernadette.
Okay, bye.